Hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bond stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Taproom Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Stacks on Stacks Lads. Joined with my man, like every Friday, Aaron Kidd. How we doing, Aaron?
Jordan, we're doing great, man. Thank you so much for having us on. It's been a fun run. You know, baseball season's a grind, but hey, we're here for it, and the long season ahead of us. So let's get after it.
Yeah, I was just talking to Tanner on Twitter, he's a part of Action Network. He does baseball handicapping, and he was saying how he's lost his last 8 MLB bets, and I was like, man, you know this as well as anybody, man. MLB's a grind, and the ebbs and flows are crazy, man. The ebbs and flows are wild.
I think anybody that bets baseball every day like we do is probably the definition of insane, but hey, we're here for it. So.
Yep. It's crazy because like I feel like the hot streaks are hot and the cold streaks are cold, man. But
Yes, they are.
And sometimes it's just the wildest things happen, and that's just baseball, man. It's crazy because baseball has the biggest, sample size per se. 162 games, right? So you have a ton of data. So you think you have like this huge edge, but really it's like the data don't mean shit sometimes. The craziest things happen.
Well, and I think you're exactly right. And to your point, so many times in baseball, we're looking for regression, whether that's positive regression, negative regression. We're always kind of gambling, if you will, because we are on that spot. Okay, this is the day that, such and such, he may be 4-0 and he's on a run, he's pitching out of his mind, but he's going to regress today. And it's such a guessing game at some point, man. And but hey, that's why we have it, and that's why we're here. So
yes, sir. Talking about regression, it's like your guy Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I was really glad to see the Yankees pull it out tonight. Though they battled back. Volpe is just he's coming as advertised, and Anthony Rizzo, man, he is fired up and kind of leading that team right now. So love having him. Glad we're able to keep him this offseason.
And the Rays, man, at some point, I was talking with Irving earlier today, and because if anybody doesn't know, Drew Rasmussen was just transferred to the 60-day DL with a flexor strain. Usually that means he's going to get Tommy John. He's had 2 Tommy Johns, by the way, so this would be his 3rd, which is pretty unprecedented if he does need Tommy John. But basically, I told Irvin, I was like, man, how crazy would it be if the Rays are like have this historic first 2 months and then don't make the playoffs? Because not only is Rasmussen out, Jeffrey Springs has already had Tommy John surgery. He's out for a year. That's their 2 and 3 starters, and that's 2 really good starters. Like, it's not easy to just duplicate their production. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting.
No, I agree. And unfortunately, I've gotten burned paying the Rays a couple times this year. Made a little money on them, trying to pick the right spots, but they will regress, whether it's through their pitching. Their bullpen plays really well, and at some point they're going to stop hitting the ball a little bit. As you said, with cold streaks, with gambling, or whatever you're comparing it to, baseball definitely has them too. So it's going to come. It's just when is it going to come?
Yeah, I mean, right now they're at 142 WR weighted runs created plus pace, which is historic. The best season ever since the stat has come alive, weighted runs created plus, is the Astros in 2019, 122. So, I mean, they're like way over that right now. So eventually there's going to be some regression. I mean, this was a team that was dog shit offensively last year, and it's basically the same guys. You know what I mean? So it's like at some point it's coming. And we've kind of seen it the last week. You know, the Orioles held them to only 4 runs in 3 games. That's because the Orioles have the best bullpen in baseball, in my opinion.
I was getting ready to say the Orioles bullpen has been playing lights out, and that was kind of something that they kind of struggled with a little bit last year. Yeah, but they've definitely figured it out this year, man. And hey, I'm from Virginia here. Camden Yards is only a couple hours away, so glad to see one of the home teams doing well.
Well, the crazy thing, last year the back end of their bullpen was great. Obviously, they had Jorge Lopez as their closer for the first half of the year. Ended up trading him because Felix Bautista was like that dude. And they also had Sionel Perez, who was lights out last year, and Dylan Tate. Dylan Tate's hurt. He hasn't played. He hasn't even pitched a single game this year. Sionel Perez has definitely taken a step back. But the big thing about the Orioles bullpen this year has been Yennier Cano, who's actually on pace for a historic season. And obviously, it's very early. He's only allowed 2 base runners all year, which is pretty incredible, man. A .84 SIERA, which to put into context, last year, Edwin Diaz was phenomenal, over a 50% K rate, right? His SIERA was over 1. So that just tells you how good Yennier Cano's been. I mean, this guy is not allowing guys to get on. He's not walking guys. One of his only players to reach base has been by hit by pitch. I'm sorry, he's allowed 3 base runners, 2 hits, 1 hit by pitch. The guy's just incredible. Definitely a name to keep an eye on. I actually bet him to win the Cy Young at 200 to 1. And I know it's tough for relievers to win. K-Rod won a Cy Young. Yennier Cano is not even the closer technically of the Orioles, but I thought the number was a little off because like if his historic season continues, right, I think he has to be in the conversation. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's really hard for a reliever to win the Cy Young, but when you're putting up those kind of numbers, and by some miracle you were able to sustain that throughout the whole season, I mean, there's a shot.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised Edwin Diaz wasn't in NL Cy Young conversations last year because I mean it was insane what he did. He had over 50% K rate. 50% of the batters he faced, he struck out. That's insane, dude. Insane. Anyways, thank you for joining us, everybody. We are being brought to you by Tavour. Make sure to go to Tavour.com or download the Tavour app straight to your mobile device and use promo code TAPROOM for $10 off your first purchase of $25 or more. That's craft beer delivered straight to your front door. You don't even have to leave your seat. Aaron and I got a dope show on deck. We're going to be talking 4 Major League Baseball games on the slate for tomorrow. 4 really good games that I like. Well, 3. Aaron loves one of them. I haven't even looked into it, so we'll get into it when he talks about it. But I'm sure we've been good on this show, man. We've been hitting our best bets, so that's the most important thing. So let's hop right into it, Aaron. Let's start it off with the Reds and Marlins tomorrow. This is going to be is this at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow your time?
Let's see here.
Covers has it messed up. It says 13:10 Eastern time. I don't know. Is that 12?
Yeah, that's right. So it's 1:10 our time. Will be kicking off right there after the Yankees-Rays games gets fired up around 1 o'clock.
Okay, so if you're on the West Coast, it's a breakfast game, which is always awesome. We got the Reds at the Marlins. We got Lodolo versus Alcantara. Lodolo's 2-1 on the year with a 6.29 ERA, 1.75 WHIP. Alcantara 1-3 on the year, 4.53 ERA, 1.21 WHIP. The cover, is this a pick'em? No. Covers doesn't have a line for this.
Marlins are favored pretty heavy. Most sportsbook I'm looking at has the Marlins laying about 190 and the over-under around 7. Yep.
190. Whew. All right.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Aaron. Tell me about this game.
Well, we saw the rookie Perez. He came out and pitched well for the Marlins tonight. Had 7 Ks through almost 5 innings. And as you said, man, tomorrow they're gonna march their ace on the mound, Sandy. he's kind of had an up and down season, start to the season. We all kind of wondered how he would, come this year after such a great year last year. He got hit pretty good in his last two starts against the Cubs. I'll give him a pass for that. He lasted almost 9 innings. That was a crazy game that went to 14 innings. He did allow 9 hits in that game, and he got lit up pretty good by the Braves the game before that. Sterling could give him a pass on those, but still overall he's had an up and down season. As you said, the Reds are going to march Nick Lodolo out there, and this Reds bullpen, Lodolo's kind of one of those other young guys that I was kind of high on coming into the season. Hunter Green, I thought he was going to have some, a really good new year this year. He had Lodolo and Ashcraft, who, I've been high on. Of course, I played him last Sunday, and he gets lit up in his worst career start. But, hey, he comes back tonight, pitches pretty well. And but Lodolo, he was going to kind of come into the season. He's going to be that second or third guy there. Hasn't really pitched that well. He's kind of been up and down as well. But something that I thought was huge in this game tonight with Perez coming out. Marlins burned through 6 relievers tonight. They had 6 guys touch the mound after Perez, which is huge. And that's already for a bullpen that ranks 18th in the majors in WHIP, 18th in the majors in xFIP, 22nd in combined ERA. That doesn't make it an ideal spot for the Marlins if they can somehow get Sandy out of the game by the 6th or 7th inning. We know the Reds struggled to start the season, especially away. It's probably what probably baked into that number there is because they're 4-12 on the season away. But with that being said and done, Marlon's been hitting the ball a little bit better lately. With Jazz and Jorge Soler and Reyes and
Jesus Sanchez is starting to figure it out too.
Sanchez, yes, they for a team that I know everybody rode the team total under on the Marlins last year for 30 straight games or whatever crazy number was. The Marlins have figured it out, man. They've been hitting the ball better, and on the flip side, the Reds could hit the ball either start the season, but their bats have really gotten better as of late. Fraley, India's batting almost 300. The catcher Stevenson, and so I'm going to probably look at this game with a little contrarian style, if you will. I think a lot of people are going to rush to the window and try to bet the under, especially being only 7 runs. But I think this is a game that if the Reds can get to Sandy at all, and get Sandy out of there by the 6th or 7th inning, with as many bullpen guys they burned through tonight, I'd actually look to play this game over 7 runs for the game.
Yeah, I mean, the over, I think 7 is a little short, especially because, Nick Lodolo, if people aren't aware, Nick Lodolo is a pretty good pitcher. I mean, he strikes out 28% of the batters, which is way above league average. His biggest issue is he's given up 435 average on batted balls in play, which is, absolutely atrocious, which also leads to a 3.39 Sierra and a 3.79 xFIP. So obviously there should be some positive regression at some point there. Sandy Alcantara, though, you take away really that Philadelphia start, and he's basically pitching to how he did last year. My biggest concern with Sandy always is that, he hates to walk batters. And I don't know if I've talked to you about this, Aaron, but, Sandy refuses to walk a batter, dude. He will literally groove a fastball down the middle to not walk a batter. He would rather give up a hit than walk a batter, which to me sometimes is a little insane. Hits can hurt you, especially when you give it the long ball. With that being said, the Marlins are 11th in weighted runs created plus against left-handed pitching. So they do hit lefties very well. They also have a 136 ISO, which is above average, and 3.6 weighted runs above average. So I do like the overplay there. And I do understand the bullpen aspect. They did have Thursday off, though, so I do think that a lot of those guys are going to be available. Sandy goes deep, but after going 9 innings his last start, I don't know how deep he's going to be able to go. And, at this point, his arm's about to fall off soon, how they've used him the last couple of years. So I don't really have a play on this game, but I do like your over angle for sure. What's that, 6.5 now?
Oh, it's dropped to 6.5. Okay.
Yeah,
I like it even more there, actually. Sure, I guess it's taking some money, but I like it even more there, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm seeing it 6.5 on Action Network. That's like the consent. That's the lowest total. I don't know where it's at though.
Yeah, it's a lot of sevens. Actually, yeah, there are a couple 6.5 starting to pop. So, like I said, that doesn't scare me at all. If anything, I just like to punch back and just love it at 6.5.
Another angle to play here, which I've talked about on the show before, is a total of 7 or less. Play the Yurfie. Yes, runs in first inning. It hits over 60% of the time, and you're getting it at plus money. So, just like a quarter, like just play a small little Yurfie there. It's profitable in games 7 or less. So, I like your angle there. I like the over 6.5, and I also would probably play a Yurfie here. I'm with you. There. I don't like the sides though, because like you said, the bullpen's a little taxed, and Sandy coming off pitching that 9-inning game, he threw over 100 pitches. I'm pretty sure he threw almost 120, right?
Yeah, I was headed up earlier. I think it was like 116, Jordan.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know how, he did get 5 whole days off in between starts, but still, I mean, man, they overused Sandy last year. We saw him deteriorate towards the end of the year last year, and it's kind of trickled into this season. And I like it. I like the over. I'm with you. I like the over. All right, let's move into.
Yeah, I'm still sorry, Jordan. I cut you off,
ahead.
but I'm still seeing a lot of sevens out there. I see 1 or 2 6.5. So you can grab 6.5. I think there's going to be some buyback on that. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing get back to 7 across the board.
It'll probably close 7.5. There's no. I know a lot of like rec bettors. They see the name Sandy Alcantara and they're just like, "Oh man, it's going under." You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know about this one. I don't know. All right, let's move into our next game. This is your favorite team here, the New York Yankees, going against the Tampa Bay Rays, who we talked about to open the show. Shane McClanahan's on the hill for the Rays. He's 7-0 on the year with a 1.76 ERA, 1.13 WHIP, going against Nestor Cortez, who's great at home, by the way. 3-2 record, 4.74 ERA, 1.24 WHIP. Just to kick it off a little bit, Shane McClanahan's a guy that I've been fading for the last 3 starts, and it hasn't worked. So I'm a little concerned to continue fading him. But the reason why I have been fading him is because while he does have a 1.76 ERA, his advanced stats, his Sierra is a 3.63, which is still above average. Like, that's really good. And his xFIP is also 3.33. So I mean, we're expecting some regression at some point, and obviously it hasn't hit. So I don't blame anybody for being like, well, I'm gonna continue backing him because it hasn't hit. Cool. Nestor Cortez, on the other hand, Nestor Cortez is a guy I faded a lot last year, which cost me money too because his advanced stats were terrible as well last year. Like we were kept expecting regression. We never really saw it. He's a Jag. If nobody knows what that means, it's just another guy. He had a career year last year, but I mean, I think we've finally seen him come back down to earth here, Aaron. And you as a Yankees fan could probably speak a little more to that. So in my opinion, in this game here, just looking at it, I kind of like the Rays in this spot, man, especially losing today. And what are they? They're a dog tomorrow, right?
No, I think they're about minus 130 across most books.
Yeah, minus 130.
Yep.
I kind of like that there. The only thing that does concern me is that Nestor does pitch well at home. He has in his career, but he did give up 2 runs to the A's. Like I said, the A's hit lefties pretty well. Did give up 3 runs to the Angels. And the Rays against left-handed pitching, number 1 in weighted runs created plus, almost 160, which is, I mean, absolutely incredible. 267 ISO, which is like unbelievable. Obviously, I know the Rays offense is coming back down to earth a little bit, but I think in this spot, minus 130, I have to take the Rays, man.
Yeah, Jordan, I think you may be onto something there. with the Yankees, Nestor started a couple Sundays ago and kind of hit rock bottom. They lose a 3-game series to Texas, get swept, and then they get blown out 15-2 in just a game that I turned off the TV. I was so frustrated that day, and so that kind of felt like rock bottom. They come back, lose a 1-game run at the Garden where they blow in the ninth, and it's like, holy crap, we have hit rock bottom. And then you kind of saw, a little bit turn of the tide. They take the next 2 against the Guardians. They come back. They only take 1 of 3 against the Rays, but they fought hard. They actually only lost the other 2 games by 1 run each. Games that were probably winnable. And then it kind of felt like the A's maybe a spot to what I call like a get right series, if you will.
Yep.
And they kind of come back and took care of business pretty handily against your Oakland A's there, buddy. And
well, right now, Aaron,
then
the A's are a get right spot for everybody.
That's right. And but hey, I'm certainly not going to jump in front of McClanahan right now. As you said, there's going to be some negative regression at some point because he is human after all. He's not, robo pitcher there. But I don't want to jump in front of him. So I think you're all over, man. And here's the thing. You're not going to get a spot right now a lot of times where you can back the Rays at a price of only -130.
Yep.
Yes, Nestor has been a completely different pitcher at home over the last 2 years. And he had a great year last year, man, career year, all-star. But I think that's more of it's a handicap, but it can be also become a narrative. And I wouldn't jump in front of this train at all. So,
yeah, I think this is a good spot. If the Rays won today, I would have been a little bit more hesitant. But the fact that they lost, I'm more willing to back the Rays in this spot. Although, like I said, I do think that, I hate to be like contradicting myself. I do think that the Rays are going to regress, but I think this is a good spot to back them here.
mm-hmm.
It's their last good pitcher who's healthy, basically.
For a team that, with Springs and Rasmussen and all of them, we were like, man, this team might win 125 games, but they've kind of had some injuries there with the pitching staff. But hey, they're human, and it's a long season, as you referenced earlier. So
it is a very long season. The total's at 8 right now, too. I would also probably play that under as well. I lean the under. I'm not gonna play it. I like the Rays money line though. I like them -130 tomorrow. All right, let's move into the next game. We got the Rockies versus the Phillies. The Phillies are sending Suarez to the mound. Hasn't pitched this year. Zeros across the board. And then the Rockies are sending Feltner to the mound, 2-2 with a 5.08 ERA, 1.6 WHIP. Currently the Phillies -130 I'm seeing on the money line. Rockies +122. The total is at 11.5. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Hold on, I got the wrong money line. -170 for Philly on the money line.
Yep, that's right.
Colorado
and 11.5 on the total, pretty much across the board.
Yeah, 11.5 is basically everywhere I'm seeing. So talk to me, Aaron. Why do you wanted to talk about this game? Tell me why you wanted to talk about this game.
Well, hopefully someone out there wants to hear about it. But look out now with the Rockies coming in tonight. Had won 8 out of 10, now 8 out of 11. 8-3 over their last 11. Man, we didn't think we'd be saying that a lot about the Rockies. But on the contrary, I actually, kind of talked about the Rockies some before the season. They scored 63 runs over that span, plus tonight, so 66 runs over that span. And, a couple of huge pieces that played the part in that. Profar has been a huge part. He's got an OBP of 343. Chris Bryant's been red hot hitting the ball, 313 batting average across that span. Charlie Blackmon's been back and playing well. He's looking like the Charlie Blackmon for a couple of years ago. Ron McMahon, and something that I don't think has been talked about enough was getting Randall Grichuk back in the lineup. He's been huge. His bat's been hot. Coming into the year, I actually kind of talked about this lineup. With CJ Cron there, that team has got to be able to hit the ball. And we've kind of started seeing that finally. As you said, the Phillies, on the other hand, after the night, they're on a 4-game winning streak after kind of hitting rock bottom, lost 6 straight. I wasn't necessarily high on the Phillies coming into the season, and I'm still not that high on the Phillies. I definitely not a team I'm in a rush to back by any means right now. The bullpen hasn't been good. The bullpen's got a combined WHIP of 1.47, which is 27th in the majors. Combined xFIP of 4.3, which is 18th in the majors. And if you go back and look during that losing streak, their pitching staff combined had an ERA of almost 10, which is just unbelievable. It's atrocious. Getting Harper back has provided some juice for him, and Trey Turner's finally starting to swing the bat for him. You had such a good World Baseball Series, and then World Baseball Classic, excuse me. Then he kind of came into the season a little cold, but he's hitting the ball better. But going back to the Rockies, I backed Feltner on last Sunday, plus 1.5 against the Mets. He came out, had a very shaky first inning, and then he figured it out. I like Feltner, and he's pitched better at home this year than he did on the road. And just like I did last week, man, with Adam Rainwhite, I love fading pitches when they come back off the IL, especially somebody that had a elbow injury, as Suarez did. Suarez he finally got into his groove at the end of last season and was pitching very well for them. But if you go back and look at the game against the Rockies last year, the Rockies did hit him pretty good pretty much the same lineup this year that he's going to face. And of course, like I said, coming off of an elbow injury, call it a strain, call it whatever you want to call it. It's not somebody I'm in the rush to back. And I was kind of looking at the weekend, and I knew the series was coming up. And I was like, man, I want a spot to be able to jump in and back the Rockies. The Rockies have actually made me pretty good money this year. I think I've bet on them 4 times, and I'm 3-1 betting on them. I knew tonight wasn't the spot, and then I saw, man, Suarez is back on the mound Saturday. I was like, I really hope the Rockies lose Friday night, because it would just be the perfect spot to back in. You think about it, Phillies won tonight. They if they lose tomorrow, they know they're probably going to win Sunday. They're happy to get out of that winning 2 out of 3. So I think it's the perfect spot. It's the perfect price to jump in and take the Rockies plus 1.5 at minus 110.
Damn, the Oilers not looking good, Aaron.
I know, man. They keep letting Vegas get in the power plays.
3 goals in a row, man.
Yep.
They got to figure this out very quickly. Still a whole nother period, and as you know, Edmonton can score very fast. So, shit. They scored 2 goals while you were talking, by the way, which is.
So I had to turn my phone off, and I apologize. I forgot to turn my phone off before. And I'm in a group text with a bunch of buddies of mine, and of course, we're on the Oilers and the Lakers tonight, and so that's why my phone was going nuts, because there was a lot of 4-letter words being used in that group text, and I looked up and I saw the score on my monitor. I said, "Oh well, I know what that's about."
Lakers taking care of business, though.
Yeah, they're up by 17 right now. So
yep.
That's a we won't go get into basketball, because I know this isn't a basketball show, but as you know, I had a pretty large wager on the Warriors the other night, and they came through for me, but there was no way I was getting in front of that train, the LeBron train tonight. So glad I'm on the Lakers.
Real quick, I do want to talk about that because that's an interesting point, because I had no dog in the race, because I knew the Warriors were gonna win, because I know how the Lakers are. They were up 3-1. I felt like they were gonna pack it in once they got down and kind of just coast, but the market was just like, we saw that line open 4.5. It went all the way to 8, and I was like, this is insane, dude. Like, that's a huge leap, right? And so I was like, I missed the 4.5. I was like, I'm not gonna play it, because I can't get a bad number at 8, and you took it. What was the reasoning behind that?
So, full transparency, Jordan, I had some 7s. I had 7.5, and I had 8. So, if anything, I took 3 bad numbers, which I do not recommend doing whatsoever. It is totally irresponsible. And but we all know I'm a big Toronto Raptors fan, diehard. Been there since been a fan basically since the creation um, of the franchise, 1995. Right, I still have a David Stoudemire Mighty Mouse jersey. Okay, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. I've been there through all the years, some very good years and some very bad years. My point of all that is, I don't handicap NBA, but I do have some sharp friends that do cap NBA, and they were all kind of talking, and they were going back and forth. And, do we play the over, play the under? You know, is it getting too many points? Yada yada yada. And I just had this thought in my mind that I compared it to almost like betting football. It was the perfect spot, one for the NBA. The NBA did not want that series to end after 5 games. It was the perfect spot for the Warriors coming back home, back against the wall. You got Steph Curry, who I think is one of the best basketball players to ever play the game. You got a pissed off Draymond Green. I just thought it was the perfect spot. And it was one of those things where in the college football national championship last year, if you remember TCU playing Georgia, and that number just got outrageous. I can't remember what it closed at, but I think it closed
14.
at like 14. Yeah, right. And it started off, I think it opened at 9.5.
No, I opened
right?
13.
And,
13.
Okay, so at 13, but then it dipped back down. But anyways, my point of all that is they were throwing that many points out to you, and it just didn't matter, you know. And so I actually, believe it or not, full transparency, I probably would have played that game all the way to like 10, just because I thought the Lakers were going to pack it in, which they didn't. So I was wrong about that.
Well, they
but
did.
I thought the Lakers,
once AD went out, they definitely packed it in. They pulled the
right.
starters.
But I thought they would have pulled the start. You know, it was like one of those things where the game was still in reach, so they didn't pull them like at the end of the third or beginning of the fourth, because the game still felt like it was still within reach, if ever so, long away. But anyways, my point is I had 7.5, 8, and it worked out to my favor. So I just felt like, to sum it up, I just felt like it was the perfect spot. Like, that spot will go down in gambling history. It's like one of the best spots ever.
Yeah, it's everybody and their mom was on it, which also concerned me a little bit. But you're right, dude. Like, I knew the Warriors were gonna win. I had no doubt they were gonna win that game. Like, zero doubt. I even told Irv and Ben, I was like, after the Lakers won game 4, I was like, the Warriors are gonna win game 5, and then the Lakers are gonna come back home and close it out. Which is why I have a Lakers in 6 ticket plus 460.
And Jordan, I know we're short on time, but if I could just say, I'm going to say one more thing about spot betting. Spot betting in football and basketball is a real thing.
Yep.
Baseball to a degree, but we'll go back to our conversation to start the show. That's kind of what makes baseball so hard, is if you try to just always pick the spot, you're not going to be a profitable bettor in baseball.
Yep.
You can acknowledge it, and it's a thing, but you can't just go into every day and try to pick a narrative, because at that point you're not handicapping. You're just picking a narrative based on the spot. So you got to watch out for that. I learned that years ago with baseball. It's not like football and basketball where you can just look for the spot, because then the Dodgers get swept by the Pirates, last year multiple times. So anyways, it's just what makes baseball that much more of a grind.
Speaking to that, though, Aaron, I do think that there is a spot that you can always play in baseball because it hits over 70% of the time. And that is the team that's the away team on Sunday Night Baseball that plays on Monday. You always take the opposing team, dude. It doesn't matter who they play. You take the other team that doesn't play on Sunday night, and it wins over 70% of the time. It's incredible.
To that point, I was on the Brewers this past Monday.
Yep.
So,
yep. I've talked about it on every single tap room on Sunday we do. That's always my best bet, is fading the team that plays on Sunday, and it hits every time, dude. It's insane. I mean, I remember last year the Dodgers played the Braves on Sunday night, and then they traveled to Coors Field against a dog shit Rockies team, and the Rockies just smoked them, dude. It's just crazy how that trend just lines up. And it doesn't work every week, because some days the team on Sunday night doesn't play on Monday. So you got to factor that in too. They don't play on Monday, don't fade them. But man, this is good knowledge though for bettors, Aaron. That's why I wanted to ask you that Warriors question, because you were so confident in taking a bad number. To me, it was like I was so hesitant. I was like, nah, I missed the 4.5. I'm not playing it. I'm not playing it. And you were like, nah, I'm taking 7, 7.5, 8. I'll take it up to 10. And that's that's conviction, dude. And I wish you told me that, because I would have played it if you talked me into it, but no, you didn't.
Like I said, I love the NBA. I'm just not an NBA really handicapper or better. I really don't bet on the NBA that much. But I am a huge basketball fan. My Raptors kind of have let me down. Sad to see Nick Nurse go. I think we've interviewed. They might be interviewing me and you for coaches, for the coach position next weekend. So we might got to pack our bags and hope the Maple Leafs are still playing. So.
The Maple Leafs are done. They're packed up, man.
I mean, I could go on a tangent about the NBA, but to sum it up, if you have conviction, and whether it's a bad number, because here's the other thing that no one wants to talk about: numbers matter, but only to yourself, really. Because you can make a line.
Dennis Schroeder just got ejected.
Yeah, I just saw that. You can make a line 13.5, and the bookmaker made it 5.5. I'll say this, and then we'll go back to baseball. Duke versus Tennessee in the NCAA tournament last year. If I remember, Duke was about a 3.5-point favorite. I think I ended up getting some 4s with Tennessee. But it was between 3 and 4. It bounced around like all night, all morning.
Yep.
And so I think I had 3s, 3.5s, and 4s with Tennessee. But my point of all that is a lot of sharp guys had that number like Tennessee 3.5, minus 3.5, right? So say that line had gone the other way, and I had 3, and then it went to 2.5. I would have been buying at 2.5.
Yeah.
Because if your number is 3.5, minus 3.5, and the bookmakers wanting to give you more and more points for it, if you think you're on the right side, that's all that matters.
Yep.
It's perception versus reality.
Yep. And I agree, man. Like, because oftentimes, like, I got some sharp buddies out here in Vegas, and like he'll message me and he'll be like, what are you on today? And I'll tell him, and he'll be like, oh, I'm on this, and we're on opposite sides. And I'm like, I don't like that play. Like, the line will move in against me, and I'll take more of it. You know what I mean? And
That's right.
He has I don't know if he's gonna be listening, but he has an ongoing thing with me where he's always like, every time we're against each other, he's like, well, I mean, you always beat me, so. But I mean, he's a really sharp guy. I mean, it's just it just so happens that I'm on the right side of some things, but you're right, dude. If you have conviction on something, like, and you get a better number, like, you might as well take it. Like, sometimes people overreact to the market, right? Where they're like, oh, the market's moving against me. I don't like it. I'm gonna buy back on the other side, right? It's fascinating.
And here's the thing about that. You mentioned everybody being on the Warriors the other night. Perfect example of this. If I was betting NBA every day, which I do not, that Warriors bet was probably less than the 10th bet I put on the NBA all season. Maybe 5th bet. But anyways, my point is there's not a lot of casual guys putting a lot of money on random Tuesday night NBA, right? But there could be a lot of public money on playoff games where there's not that many games to bet. I see this all the time. Me and you talk about this all the time with small town college basketball.
Yep.
The Southland Conference. If anybody listens, I love the Big South. There's not a lot of people betting 15 and 20 or 15 and 17 high point team on a Tuesday night, right? So one bet of a decent size could really move the line, right? So I don't get into that too much, like with the Super Bowl, right? Or NFL playoffs, where there's so much money coming in on these games because it's not that many to bet on. Where it doesn't bother me so much. I knew everybody was on the Warriors for that game, but everybody was seeing what I was seeing, and that's okay because books take beatings too on some games. The books don't win every game.
Yep, that's facts. That's absolute. That's what I think people don't understand, dude. I agree with you, Aaron. And that's the thing is like, I think there's this like conception on especially Twitter where it's like, oh, if you're with the public, you're on the wrong side. But dude, the public wins, man. Like, if you think the books win every game, you're fucking out of your mind, dude. The biggest loss
I saw there was a. Oh, sorry, Jordan. Go ahead.
I was just saying the biggest loss I thought I've seen the books take in the last year was that Colts Chargers Monday night game where everybody was on the Chargers and they actually covered. Oh man, I was on the Colts, of course, because I wanted to be contrarian.
I was on the Colts as well, and actually, I know that game very well. I think the Colts were getting like 3.5 points, and the Chargers just like beat them by 10 or 14. But anyways, I remember that game closed at like 91% of the money being on the Chargers, which is just kind of unheard of. But to my point earlier, it's Monday Night Football. There's only one football game to bet on, right?
Yep.
And here's the other thing that I would say to people always ask me, you do this every day. What are some things you would do or not do, or what's some advice you would give? And the only advice I would give too is don't get caught up in trying to be too sharp. Where your buddies are calling you, oh, that's a square bet. Well, if you see value in it, as you said, if you have your conviction, if you have a winning angle on it or winning edge, by all means, man, don't get caught up in being too sharp or square. I don't really buy into that narrative much anymore.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. 100%. I do think when it comes to the NFL, though, there is a lot of money being put on it where, like, you definitely don't want to be on the public side a majority of the time because if you are, but again, like we're seeing so many states operate now with a legalized betting that now it's like you can't even take into consideration a lot of these betting splits. A, we don't know where they're coming from for most spots, and B, it's like there's just so many people betting. Like you have no idea. So now more than ever, because I always hear people talk about chasing steam, right? Oh, I chase steam and I win, right? Because I chase the number. But on the flip side, it's like now it's just you could have, for example, I know this is an NFL draft bet, but the Reddit post about Will Levis going top 3, and everybody bets Will Levis to be the second overall pick. And what happens? That dude falls to the second round. I mean, dude,
Unfortunately, I was one of those guys that had Will Levis to go to. Unfortunately, I will be completely honest. I did make a lot on Bryce Young going first overall. A good buddy of mine had some really good information that was well ahead of it. So we had Bryce Young at -110. We had him minus at 120, -125. We had it all across the board. So, but yeah, I got burned on Will Levis at 2 as well.
My bad. I didn't mean to bring that up, brother. But
yeah, just kind of stick the knife a little bit further through me. But no, Bryce Young definitely made my night on the NFL draft, so I was happy after that.
See, A, there's not a lot of good bets in Vegas to bet the draft, and B, I didn't have a ton of conviction on the draft this year because I just felt like there was so much disinformation out there that I was just like, you know what, I'm not even gonna hesitate with the NFL draft. So, anyways. That was actually really good conversation, Aaron. I'm glad we did that because that is important for a lot of people that are new to the betting realm or aren't very familiar with it. Like, there's a lot of things that you can learn, that Aaron and I have learned for you. We've done this. We've been through this, and I don't consider myself an expert bettor by any stretch of the imagination, but, I don't lose money betting, which is a good thing, and, I haven't made a ton of money in betting, but I, at least don't lose money. You know what I mean? And I've lost money previously, and I've learned from my mistakes, and that's why.
Me too.
That's what I think is the most important thing is that, people like Aaron and I can come in here and I've been betting since 2014. I don't know how long Aaron's been betting, but.
Well, I can't really remember when I started betting, but betting every day for about probably 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, so I mean, we've gone through our trials and tribulations, dude. We've learned from our mistakes, and that's what I want to. I want to be here to help people learn and help people get better. Because at the end of the day, I just want everybody to make money.
Absolutely, man. And I'll save that point for a second, but I've hit UConn to win, the national championship. I've hit, all these crazy things. Asheville to win the championship. Chiefs to win the Super Bowl a couple years ago. My point of all this is I've hit all those and had the accolades and all the good times, but I've also had the bad times, man. I think I've lost. I think what was your guy telling you lost 8 straight in baseball? I think I've been close to that. I think I've lost 6 straight in baseball before a couple times.
Yeah.
So it's all about sustainability and just being smart, man. And hey, and I've even had to say during and usually this happens during baseball season, but I've even taken a step back, taken a week off,
Yeah.
and just kind of reevaluate my what I was trying to target or even if I was tailing, maybe I need to stop tailing this person or listen to this information. So the biggest thing I can say though, man, is trust yourself and trust those around you that are doing this every day with you. And remember, at the end of the day, it's not about the content or any of that. That's the fun side of it. But the biggest thing is it's still us versus the book. So always keep that in the back, the front of your mind, if you will.
That's why I never understood, especially if people are on Twitter and they see gambling Twitter, man, people on gambling Twitter be against each other, and I'm just like, I don't get it, dude. Like, why? What's the point of it?
I agree.
Like,
Completely agree.
Unless you're betting said person, like, there's no reason to like hate on that person for their bet or talk down on them. Like, it's us against the books, man. Like, it's literally us against the world. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? And we should be doing everything we can to beat the books, and it is what it is. Anyways, let's move on to our last game. I'm sorry we got off track, but again, I think that was a very important conversation, man. I'm glad we had that, and that was great content. I appreciate that, Aaron.
Hey, I appreciate it too. That was great.
Let's move on to Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. We have the Pittsburgh Pirates against Baltimore Orioles, obviously. We have Contreras, 3-3 on the year, 4.74 ERA, 1.55 whip, going against my guy, Tyler Wells, who I've been backing for over a year now. Every single start, I just blindly do it. I don't even hesitate. It just happens. And I've been very profitable doing it. He's 2-1 on the year, 3.15 ERA, 0.78 whip. Now, first of all, the reason why I backed Tyler Wells, he's a 6'8" guy, dude. He's a fucking giant. Excuse my language. But when you're 6'8" and you're making that approach to the mound, I mean, that ball looks like it's coming at you 300 miles an hour, like Randy Johnson. You could be throwing 92. That ball looks like it's coming at you. If you've ever played baseball, a tall guy throwing a pitch looks like it's coming at you 10 times faster than it actually is, right? Which is why I originally loved Tyler Wells. He's a tall guy, tall feller, 6'8". All right. On the year, 3.15 ERA, 4.54 xFIP, 4.27 Sierra. So it tells you his numbers should regress a little bit. But again, he doesn't have high K numbers, which is a little concerning. That's what usually drops the xFIP and such. But like I said, guys are not used to hitting against guys that big. There's very few guys in the league that are 6'8" pitching. You know what I mean? And you see it when they face Tyler Wells. They struggle because they can't figure it out. And that's why I love backing Tyler Wells. I also love the Orioles. If you're new to the show, I'm the Orioles. That's my second favorite team. I've become a fan of them. But Roansy Contreras has great stuff too. Don't get me wrong. 4.74 ERA, 5.2 Sierra. The Orioles are just such a good team this year, Aaron. Obviously, you're in the DMV area, so you know very well about the Orioles. I mean, I think this number in this spot, minus 154, I think it's a little short for the Orioles. I think they're such a better team than the Pirates.
I agree, man. The Pirates kind of started the season out, kind of hot. And we're like, oh my gosh, man, Andrew McCutcheon's back and he's hitting home runs. And then Brian Reynolds didn't go to the Yankees. And, they kind of locked him up. And now, wow, man, here we are. Pirates lost 10 out of 11. And, during that 11 game streak. They have not scored over 3 runs in a game. And
They've been
that
terrible,
bottom half of
bro.
that order is just ice cold. And I kind of saw that in a series against the Rockies. Another spot when we're talking about the Rockies who have gotten hot, the Pirates, that was kind of like the rock bottom when they lost 10-1 to the Rockies the other day.
Do you think
And
losing O'Neal Cruz has anything to do with that?
I think it has a part to do with it. In my personal opinion, especially losing Velasquez because he hit the IL. That bottom half of that rotation is not good, man, at all. And I think we're starting to see that now. And like I said, they just haven't been able to hit the ball at all. Haven't scored over 3 runs in this 11 game streak. They blew the Nationals out 16-1, and that was kind of like the highest of the high. We were talking about the lows of the low, and when our previous breakdown, it's kind of the highest of the high for the Pirates. They're living on the high. Just taking 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. They come back, sweep the Nationals, blow them out 16-1, and then they just forget how to hit the ball. So I think you're all over it, man. I think the books are baking in a little bit that at some point the Pirates are going to figure it back out, at least for a stretch. But if I was looking at that line, man, I make that line minus 175. Even on the road. I mean, excuse me, at home for Baltimore. So I think there's some value there. I don't like laying big lines like that, so I would maybe look to play it maybe like a -1 situation. But yeah, man, it's as I said what I said about the Rays earlier. The Orioles are another train. I'm not looking to jump in and fade at any point right now.
Good man. Smart man. Yeah, I like the Orioles in this spot, especially because, Yennier Cano didn't pitch today. He hasn't pitched in a couple days, so he has a lot of rest coming in. I think Felix pitched I think he pitched like half of an inning today because Austin Voth couldn't get anybody out. But again, the Baltimore's bullpen has been one of the best bullpens in baseball in the last month and a half. It really, once Yennier Cano got called up, it's kind of settled itself out. So I look at this and I'm like, man, if the Orioles have a lead going into the 7th inning, like it's over, dude. The Pirates aren't going to hit anyone. Pirates are 27th in weighted runs created plus in the last 7 days, so they're not hitting anybody. 67 WRC plus. That's terrible. That's way below average. As you alluded to, they're not hitting, right? I like the Orioles here. I think -154 is a little short. I'm with you. -175 is probably the correct number. I'd also sprinkle a little on Orioles -1.5. I'm not scared to play Orioles -1.5 full game or full game regardless, because I do think that their bullpen is the best in baseball, even though the numbers don't tell it yet. I think over the course of the year, the numbers will tell it. I think they do have the best bullpen with Colomb, Bautista, Yennier Cano. Brian Baker's been very good this year. Pirates are I feel like the Pirates are kind of falling back to the mean, Aaron. And maybe O'Neal Cruz has something to do with that. I love the Pirates, man. They have the best uniforms in baseball. Period. So I wish them luck, but not against my Orioles, man. Orioles -154.
I think there will be a time to back the Pirates again. You can start getting some of those run lines, just +1.5. I think there'll be a spot to jump back in, but man, I'm not getting in front of the Orioles right now. And until the Pirates can show me they can hit the ball again, it's a no for me on that. And I think you're right, man. I think the Orioles are the play here, but I will say I don't like playing those 1.5s when you're the home team. You kind of opposite what I like to do with the 1.5s. You're basically giving yourself up on a bet, but that's just me. Everybody plays things different. So if I was betting this game, it would be the Orioles or nothing for me.
Yeah. No, I like the Orioles money line. I'm with it.
Let's go, y'all.
All right, let's get some best bets, Aaron. What's your best bet or bets of Saturday?
My best bets for tonight's show, 2 games I broke down. I love the Rockies +1.5. I think they get to Suarez some, and I think Suarez probably going to be on pitch count tomorrow. So get to them, and Rockies 1.5 minus 110, and then I like the over because it's 7 most places still. We'll call it over 7.
Okay, I like it.
In the Marlins Phillies. The Marlins Reds game.
I like that. All right, my 2 best bets. I'm going, I'm going chalk, man. This is not like me. I'm going Rays minus 130, and I'm going Orioles minus 154. I like both of those there. Sprinkle a little on the minus 1.5, but I'm not gonna do it. Although I don't disagree with it, considering how good the Orioles bullpen is. Because I think if they have a lead, in the 7th, 8th inning, I don't think there's gonna be much runs scored. So give me that. Lakers are up 12 right now. I don't even know what the fuck's going on with the Oilers. Has the third period even started?
It just started.
God damn, these motherfuckers.
A minute into it.
I can't believe that. They gave up 3 goals in 1 period, bro. What is going on? Anyways, thank you all for joining us. Make sure to tap in Sunday night. I'll be back with Ben and Irvin. We'll be recapping the week, looking ahead to the next week. Also, Aaron and I will be off next Friday, but we will be back the following Friday with Adam Trigger from Wager Talk, which will be fucking awesome. My guy's been going through a cold streak, but he'll be back. He hit his MLB bet today, though.
Yes, he did. I was with it. I tailed him on that. The Mariners smashed it, and he was all over that one, man. So,
like I said, man, the ebbs and flows of baseball are crazy, bro. I don't care how good you are at handicapping or betting. If someone comes up to you and is like, "I never lose in baseball," they're absolutely fucking lying to you, dude. There's no.
Yeah, if you finish baseball season up a couple units, then you could consider yourself. You did pretty good. I'll talk more about Adam and blow his head up some more in 2 weeks. But one of the greatest runs I've seen in recent history that come to my mind was I'll let him explain it more. But I'm pretty sure he went 30-10 over a 40-game run in college basketball last season, and luckily I was riding with him on a lot of actually probably all those. And it's pretty much one of the craziest runs I've ever seen. But he made me a whole lot of money, so he's even a better guy. So.
Yeah, no, he knows his stuff. I mean, I haven't met him, but I follow him on Twitter, and he definitely knows his stuff, man. So I always appreciate it. You guys are definitely gonna want to tap into that episode, and then like I said,
Connor McDavid power play goal. Let's go.
4-3. Let's keep it going, baby. All right, y'all. Make sure to tap back in with us. Follow Aaron on Twitter at AKSports90, right?
Yep.
I did that off the top of my dome. I didn't even have to look. AK Sports 90.
Love that.
Follow myself on Twitter at Jordan Rules TSP. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Have a blessed Saturday. We'll see y'all later. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.
Jordan, thanks for having me, brother.
Always, man. I love having you on, man. That was a great conversation that we had, by the way. I love it. We'll see y'all later. Peace.